wait a little bit. We're gonna do some karate here soon. I'm just gonna wait till we get some people on. It's early in the morning. There is lots of snow. That's a little expected here. Today we're gonna do a lot of kicks, stance, and this is gonna have a karate focus. Kicks from Okinawan karate. So if you're a taekwondo practitioner, Muay Thai practitioner, or a kickboxing practitioner, your kicks might be a little bit different than what I'm doing are kicks from Okinawan karate. So it's really going to be focused on legs, and I'm actually close because are a little sore. All right, so let's test this out, see if I'm coming through clearly. Am I breaking up because of the quality of the internet connection, or is it my own like mental focus is breaking up? Hopefully we don't have any internet streaming problems, but there's not much I can do about it, so maybe it'll improve soon. How's it going? Any better? I also wonder if it's on my end or your end. Is that yes, like it's better, or yes, like it's still having a problem? Okay. So I'll go ahead. We're going to start with stances, and we're going to practice some of the stances that we do in Koburyu, which Koburyu is kind of a like a evolution of Uechi-ryu Okinawan karate and Matayoshi style Okinawan kobudo. So it's like a fusion of those two. We do kobudo system that's has its roots in Matayoshi style. Do a karate system that has its roots in Uechi style. So a lot of the stances are going to be pretty much the same. There might be some slight differences. Kinjo Kaicho tends to shorten up the stances in Kobudo a little bit, just to make them more natural, because a lot of times people are like really getting in these deep stances and get kind of stuck sometimes where they can't move very well. And being able to move quickly, fluidly, naturally is really important to Kinjo Kaicho. So my understanding and from what I've seen of Matayoshi Kobudo is our stances tend to be a little bit shorter than theirs, like our Zen Kusudachi stance specifically tends to be a little bit shorter than like a Matayoshi style Zen Kusudachi. So we'll start just getting some repetitions. So we got Masubidachi is our stance when we come to attention. So Kyotsuke, we're in Masubidachi. We step over, foot straight, adjust the heel out. That's Heikodachi. So you got Masubidachi, Heikodachi. It's always the heel adjusts in and out, the right heel. So right heel adjusts in, together, step over, right heel adjusts out. Right heel adjusts in, together, step over, right heel adjusts out. So I'm telling you this not because you don't know this per se, but if you were explaining this to a beginner, that's how you would explain it to them. So shoulder width, feet are straight forward. In Heikodachi, in Masubidachi, your feet are in the V shape, probably 30 degrees, for a total of like a 60-degree opening with your 2 feet in a V shape. So over into Heikodachi. All right, so we'll start with Nekowashi Dachi. Nekowashi Dachi is interesting because ours is different than, say, like Goju-ryu. So in our Nekowashi Dachi, starting from Musubi Dachi, we're going to, if you had your toes up to a line, you're gonna adjust whichever foot's gonna go forward. I'm gonna use my right foot. Adjust the heel out so that foot's straight. Then move it forward in a straight line so that my heel, lengthwise, is 1/2 the distance of my foot in front of the other. So if this is my foot, I take 1/2 of my foot, and this foot's like this, and so my heel of the other foot is gonna be not in line with the toes of this foot, but 1/2 the foot forward, like that. So my feet are really like that. The front foot's straight, and the back foot is still out at that 30-degree angle. So my feet are like this. So it shouldn't be like a really short, it should just be a little more forward. The heel is only 1 inch off the floor. So sometimes you see kata competitors or even Goju-ryu practitioners, they may pick that heel up higher and they may sink lower into that stance. We're only picking our heel up 1 inch off the floor, and we're sinking, but only sinking kind of into like a natural, like what feels good to sink. We're not way down, we're just dropping a little bit so we have some spring. We want enough spring to be able to spring into that kick. But otherwise we're not bending, we're not sinking super low, just sinking down a little bit. Hi, we got people saying hi, what's up? Hello. All right, so let's practice the Nekowashi Dachi. So you're from Musubi Dachi, right foot's gonna adjust, heel goes out, move it forward, bend your knees. Most of your weight, like 95% of your weight, is gonna be on this back leg, which leaves this one really light to come up and block, block, block. So you can block a kick coming this way, block a kick coming this way, block a kick here, kick fast. You know, you can, even if you end up here, maybe you're in Nekowashi Dachi, you end up this way because you just threw a kick and they adjust here, you just tap it down, and then throw your kick that way. Hi. All right. So let's do a few Nekowashi Dachi. So adjust the foot that's gonna go out in front, step here, bend your knees. Back to here, left foot, heel adjust out, move it forward, 1/2 foot's length between the back toe and the front heel, and bend your knees just a little bit. So Kyotsuke, adjust your heel with the right foot, step out, right foot. Kyotsuke, adjust the heel of the left foot, step out, Nekowashi Dachi, cat foot stance. Heels together, adjust, move forward, bend your knees. 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 All right, now let's practice a little bit of blocking with that. So you're gonna use your right leg, adjust your right heel out, move it forward into that Nekowashi Dachi. Remember, nice and light here. And then they're gonna kick. This is maybe a kick to the groin. So you pick your knee up to block that. And you can pick your knee up with your foot ready to go out and kick. Because maybe you block that kick, and then you kick them. Or they start to kick, you block, they don't kick, then you could kick them. Pick your knee up to block the groin kick. Knee up and down, very fast. Up and down, you wanna time it. You don't wanna hang out on one foot for very long while you're being attacked. Coming through with a Mawashi Geri this way, trying to kick you in the thigh, boom. Pick your knee up and block over there. Coming this way, pick your knee up across, you can block over there. You gotta be careful with that, because if you come over here to block, and then they kick your leg this way, you could end up with your back exposed. But depending if you're managing your distance, you could block across here, throw a jab to keep them away from you, and then throw a side kick. Or if you're oriented at 45 degrees, Sokoto Geri is one of our kicks that we do. What's up? All right. Now the left foot's in front. So they're kicking to the groin, block, kick to the groin with your knee, but you're also bringing your leg up ready to kick. So if you bring it up, they don't kick, you can throw your own kick. Or if they kick, boom, and they put their leg down right away, and you see the opening, then you can scoot in with your kick. All right, now they're doing Mawashi Geri. They're trying to kick you in the thigh. They see this is light, so they want to kick you this way so they can attack. So you're gonna block. Check the kick with your shin. It's better if you can catch the kick on the thick part of your shin closest to your knee, not on your knee, but your shin is a little bit thicker and stronger here. If they're kicking this way, you can block across here. You just have to be careful that you don't get kicked and turned so that you're vulnerable here. But you can block across, potentially throw a jab here to keep them at a distance, then throw your Sokoto Geri. All right, so Migi Ashimai, Neko Ashidachi, block to the front, block to the outside, block to the inside. Hidari Ashimai, Neko Ashidachi, block to the front, block outside, block inside. Migi Ashimai, Neko Ashidachi, block to the front, front kick, block out, block to the inside, Sokoto Geri. Hidari Ashimai, block to the front, front kick, block to the outside, block to the inside, Sokoto Geri. You would have to train with me at this point, you would have to be in Nebraska where I am. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska. You can, however, jump on some of these Friday morning training sessions and practice along with me a little bit. I have a lot of videos, so you can practice along with the videos so that you're ready to, when we do the live stuff, you'll have some basis for following along. What does this say? Yeah, does it kind of look like I'm doing like a kick line? Yeah, I could be doing that, right? So let's go right foot in front, Neko Ashidachi, block, kick, then block the outside. This one, I don't feel like I'm really set up for a kick per se, maybe a stomp kick. Who knows, I could do a Kagato. So I block here, and Kagato, block across, Sokoto. Let's try that. So, Hiza Uke, Geri, block out here, boom, Kagato, and block across, Sokoto. Hey, no problem. All right, so let's see. With Neko Ashidachi, let's do Sanshindachi. So our Sanshindachi is actually going to be really similar to Goju-ryu practitioners and Uechi-ryu practitioners. So Sanshindachi, we're going to start with our feet as wide as your shoulders. Feet are straight, kind of like you're on skis, right? If your feet are like this and you're on skis, one's going this way, one's going this way, it's not going to work out that good. So your feet have to be oriented forward. Then whichever foot's going to go in front, you're going to step forward. So your heel's on the same line going across, the same horizontal line as the toes of the back foot. Adjust the heel out and bend your knees in so you can protect from the groin kick. And also you want your weight sinking down, weight on the fronts of your feet. 50-50 is the weight distribution between your feet, but more weight's going to be on the fronts of your feet, with your toes pushing into the floor so that someone kicks your leg, stomps your knee. You want some strength and solidity there. All right, then you step back to Heikodachi. Step forward, the heels on the same line going across the same horizontal line. Adjust your heel out, bend your knees, Sanchindachi. Heikodachi, right foot forward, heel just out, sink down, Sanchindachi. Heikodachi, left foot forward, heel out, sink, Sanchindachi. All right. Next one we're going to do is Zen Kutsudachi. I gotta try to see what these emojis are. Skiing, yeah. Been watching too much Winter Olympics, so I have skiing analogies. All right. Zen Kutsudachi. So if I start Heikodachi, right, my feet straight forward, my skiing position. So I start here. I'm gonna move the foot forward this way and bend that knee. And I'm gonna have like 75% of my weight, or maybe 70% of my weight is gonna be on this front leg, like 30% on the back leg. So more weight on this front leg, front knees bent, back knees mostly straight, but not locked out usually. If I need a little extra, I might momentarily lock it out, but it's not gonna like be in this locked out position for a long time. And then if the length should be, if I put this knee down on the floor, it should be on the same horizontal line as the heel of that front foot. So we can do a few kind of knee touches here. So you can go down till it almost touches and then come up. So go down and up, knee, san, shi, go. Most of the weight should be on this front foot. Roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju. Then put the other foot in front. So in this case, it's going to be my left. So from a Heikodachi, I'm going to step into that stance, front knees bent, and I'm going to almost touch the back knee down to the floor. It's going to be on the same horizontal line as the heel of the front leg. Ichi, ni, san, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju. All right. Oh, hey, happy birthday to RG 2016 AC. Shout out to you. Happy birthday. All right. My birthday's coming up soon too, so I don't know if you're like a Pisces or not. I don't know where the cutoff is for that. I'm a Pisces, I guess. That's what I'm told. All right. So next thing we're gonna do is Tsuyoshi. So from the Heikodachi, I'm actually going to step forward, kind of like that Zen Kutsudachi stance, but this back foot is going to be turned out at an angle here. And even the front foot is going to be a little bit oriented across this way, maybe similarly to how it is in Sanchin. It's a slight angle with the front leg, with the front foot, and an angle with the back foot. I'm going to bend my knees and push them out, but my hips are mostly still oriented forward. So this is still a forward facing fighting stance. I want to avoid turning this into a sideways stance. This is, I'm still facing forward. I'm still bringing all my weapons forward to attack with. All right, then my left foot's in front, same thing. Left foot angles in, The back foot, the right foot, angles out there, not way out here, but out there. Knees bent, pushing kind of out here, oriented forward. Same thing here, except my weight is 50-50. So on Zenkusu Dachi, I had my weight shifted onto my front leg, 70% here, only 30% on the back leg. This one, my weight distribution is 50-50. And it's the same length pretty much as that Zenkusu. So if I bend my knee down to the floor in Suigoshi, I'm right there in that stance. Okay, so we could actually do that. We can do so mirror Suigoshi. It's 50-50. Now we're gonna come down with the knee and back to 50-50. Knee, back to 50-50. San, back to 50-50. Shi, back to 50-50. Go, Roku, Shichi, Hachi, Ku, Ju, Ashite, switch your feet. Suigoshi, 50-50. Remember this knee, back knee comes down. It's on the same horizontal line as the heel of the front foot. Back to my 50-50. Knee, san, shi, back to 50-50. Go, roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju. All right, that's Suigoshi. All right, then we do a Kibadachi. So when we do like basic punch, we'll start Masubidachi. Remember, feet like this, over double shoulder width. This foot straight, like the skis, remember? Did I turn my heel out? Of course, I've never seen anybody skiing with their feet so wide, so that would be a funny way to ski. I feel like you might hurt yourself. But both feet are straight forward, both knees are bent, and they push out like this. Some styles do it deeper than this. What you want to work on, maintain that strong knee position, but then rotating. So twisting the hips without turning, letting the knees get sloppy, right? So make your stance strong. This should be working your legs a little bit, not a crazy amount, but if you just did those lunges with me, you should probably feel this a little bit. And then rotate the hip, rotate the hip. Boom. Try to rotate. So keep the knees still, just twist the hip. Pulling with this hip, pushing with this hip. While keeping the body aligned. Of course, that would be some punch as you do that. That's Kibadachi is what that stance is called. Kibadachi. All right, there's also a stance called Shikodachi, which we don't use very much, but it show up some, especially in Kobuga. There's places where we get kind of oriented sideways. We go here, boom, and we end up in a Shikodachi stance. It's just like Kibadachi, but your feet point out instead of pointing forward. They point out like this. So what we'll do here is some squats. All right, this is kind of like let's call it a sumo squat. So just imagine you're picking something up off the floor. Ichi, ni, san, roku, shi, juichi, juni, jusan, jushi, jugo, juroku, shichi, juhachi, Juku. Niju. All right. Let's see what we have here. Back to 50-50. Oh yeah. All right. So we're gonna talk about a stance that we don't really pop in name for, and then I'm gonna connect that with a principle. If you're watching this and you're not part of let's say you're not part of a traditional martial arts style, having all these different stances and hanging out in a stance might seem weird to you, but everybody does it. If you watch professional fighters, you'll see that they're basically keeping an approximate stance, and they might switch between 2 or 3 stances. They're probably not doing a lot of different stances. We don't have a lot of different stances. We probably have like 5 or 6. But they're probably keeping 2 or 3 stances that they're in all the time, and they're always approximately in those. Now, do they stand in one spot, stand still? No. So we're gonna get into that. All right. So what I wanna talk about here is this. All right, this is kind of like a Neko Washidachi. This is when you're doing bo kata in Shushinokun. Our first bo kata, it comes from Matayoshi's system. But when you pull back your bow here, bring back to your heels are on the same line, and your heel of the front foot is 1/2 your foot's length away from the back foot. But it's the same line, and your heel's up just a little bit, about that same inch. Knees are bent a little bit here, but it's just a momentary, you hit here, you pull back here, and then you go back into your Zenkusudachi. So we don't really get into calling that a stance. It's almost more like a transition stance, right? So it is a stance, it is a specific way that you're supposed to put your feet when you do that, but it's so transitory, meaning we're not hanging out there. It's a momentary thing in between things that we don't even stop and give a name. Now, when you're doing your stances, in reality, there's not necessarily a name for every stance. Your stances are gonna be transitory. And that's more when you get into kind of the universal way of martial arts. So everybody enters this world of martial arts through a system. You have your system, for Bruce Lee, it was Wing Chun. Bruce Lee started in Wing Chun, that was his system, that was how he approached martial arts. And so he started with Wing Chun, and he added ideas from boxing, and he added ideas from judo, and he added ideas from fencing, and he added some ideas from various martial wrestling. So he's adding ideas from all different systems, but he had a guiding principle. And my suspicion, because a lot of times you talk about being formless and trying to arrive at that place where you transcend your maybe your traditional martial arts model. But I think if he had I think if Bruce Lee had lived longer, my guess is that he probably would have come full circle and worked backwards to establish a framework for getting other people to where he was. So you can be like, hey, be enlightened, be a system without a system, be water, don't get tied up with a certain system and have that get you stuck. You got to transcend that system. Yes, transcend the system, but then you need to understand how you got there so you guide other people. That's why we have systems, because a lot of times if you give people no structure, then they end up with a really bad stance. They have no proprioception. They can't figure out where their feet are in space. They have bad hand position. they have bad body position. They don't know those things. They don't have a system for understanding how they're supposed to get there. Whereas if you teach somebody the structured system, then once it clicks to them, like, oh, this is all like, it's like the grammar rules in the English language, where you learn all these rules and then you can break them. So learn the rules and then you can break them, you can bend them, you can work around them. They're tools in your arsenal instead of rules that bind you and control you. So that's what martial arts is. You approach it, I think it's best approached through a structured system, then transcend the system, and then work backwards to be like, hey, how did I get to this level where I transcended the system so that I can get other people there? And maybe then you make a better system than the one that you came through to get to where you were. But it takes a lot of work to get there. But the stances don't need to be, when you think about like a universal way of martial arts, the stances don't have to be places where you hang out. You don't just stand there and camp. It's you move from one stance to another. You're moving with your feet, adjusting angles, weight distribution, stuff like that. So you don't have to get stuck or locked in to one specific stance, but learn the stances so that you know where your feet are and you can choose the best position for what your strategy is. All right, let's do, I guess while I'm sitting here and you're sitting while you may be typing, let's do some stomach exercise. Let's connect it though with the legs, because we're kind of doing a leg theme. So let's do some straight leg lifts. So what we're gonna do is your legs are out straight like this, and when you lower them down, don't quite touch the ground, and then bring them back up straight. And what I do is I tuck my chin up like this, so I look forward. I'm gonna leave my hands just kind of down here. I'm gonna lift the legs up. Ni, san, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju, juichi, juni, jusan, jushi, jugo, juroku, jushichi, juhachi, juku, niju. It's going to work your hip flexor muscles and your abdominal muscles. And I like that exercise because I think it builds more like the stomach wall. So it's one of the more useful ones for taking kicks or punches to the stomach. If you do those, it can help you hold your stomach tight. So when somebody punches you or kicks your stomach, make that wall with your abdominals, breathe properly, and it doesn't bother you. So that's one of those things where we get kind of complacent sometimes. I get kind of complacent in tournament sparring because I go in thinking, I'm not really worried about somebody kicking my stomach. And so when I see a kick coming at my stomach or a punch coming at my stomach, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hit your head. But then I get hit in the stomach and it's like, I guess you got a point. And if I'm working in pulling, I have a vest on. So between having a vest and being able to tighten my stomach, I'm not, right, yeah. So I'm not really, worried about somebody hitting me in the stomach. So I get complacent because with a vest on and all that stuff, because I can't have my with my vest, elbows are naturally good out. So I have to kind of fight out here. So I'm usually not going to block something coming at this unless I see a knife. But that's where you got to be careful because you don't always see the knife. So someone's coming at you to stab you. Sometimes you think they're trying to punch you until you're like, oh crap, I got stabbed. And vests rated for bullets, will a vest rated for bullets slow down a knife thrust or interfere with a knife thrust? Yeah, but may not. It's not exactly designed to stop that knife from going. It's different different kind of design from like a stab proof vest. So you do have to watch that. And that's something where even the tournament sparring is different, because in our sparring, where we're sparring with heavy contact, I like to block with my elbows or block in close to myself so I don't have to move much and I've got my hands ready to counter. But in point sparring, it's probably better to block with your hands, because then the referees see that you're blocking and they're like, oh, he blocked that one because his hands went like that and he blocked the kick. Yeah, you don't see the knife, right? And you're not preparing for the knife, but the same movements can be used, right? So we can use our block like this in Seichin kata. That can definitely be, somebody tries to stab you in the stomach, you can intercept here, and then you probably want to get a hold of that knife if you can, maybe pull them into a headbutt and try to, you know, break that knife loose if you can. But yeah, intercepting here is probably best for somebody trying to stab you in the stomach. But that point sparring, you're always blocking here anyway. You're blocking out away from you so that the referee can see that you actually blocked it and not think that you, because they kicked your elbow and your body moved, they're going to think that, hey, that's a point because it looks like you moved. But if you're blocking out like this, that is good preparation for fighting somebody with a knife, because you can block it away from yourself. I don't want to block a knife thrust here because that's pretty close, and I'm gonna get stabbed in the arm too. So with that, I would say also, like the point sparring, when you're moving around with your feet so much, a lot of times that's not an option for you in a real fight, because somebody's coming at you very aggressively, charging forward. You might be in a confined space. You don't have that much room to move around. But if you do have room to move around, because some fights happen in parking lots, parks, open areas, gymnasiums, you might have tons of space to move around. So if you do have a lot of space to move around, then staying the heck away from the person with the knife while keeping your hands out here to make sure that that knife doesn't touch you might be a good thing to do while you look for a weapon, look for something to put between you and the person with a knife, and look for an exit, and hopefully make lots of bystanders will call 911. There's a person with a knife attacking the person, and if there's a courageous bystander, they might even help you, because there have been documented incidents of people who, you know, somebody's trying to attack them with a knife and somebody nearby will get involved and intervene on their behalf to try to help them, putting their own life in danger by doing so. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, let's do a few more of these Shodachi squats. So make your Shodachi, point your feet out, more ready. Go. Hachi. Ku. Ju. Ni. Roku. Hachi. Ku. Ni. Ju. All right. A few pieces. Just gonna go. Ichi, ni, san, shi, roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju. Turn them out. Ichi, ni. Feet out like this. San, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju. Turn feet in. Ichi, Ni, San, Shi, Go, Roku, Shichi, Hachi, Ku, Ju. All right, let's go real quick into doing a Sokoto Geri or a Yoko Geri. So the Uechi-ryu did not originally have a lot of kicks. When it was Pangai Nunyu in China, they didn't have many kicks. There was a low front kick, basically to the groin area, usually with the sokusen. You're kicking with the toe sokusen. So that's really the only kick that they had in Pangai Nunyu. They did not have 10 different kinds of kicks. It was referred to, a lot of the southern styles that referred to boxing, Chinese boxing, or Chinese hand. And that was a apt description of the southern Chinese systems, which were mostly hand techniques with a few kicks. But don't get it twisted. Just because you're only using hand techniques to strike with doesn't mean the feet are not important. So they're using their feet to make stances that support the hand techniques and support the blocking and grabbing and pulling. Also, the feet could be used to step on the toe and step on the foot and knock the person backwards, or to trip the opponent, more so than to kick, because a lot of the kicks are actually less effective than hand techniques when it comes to fighting. And I don't mean less effective like they don't do as much damage. A well-placed kick can do more damage than a punch, but it can also put you very much off balance. And it's not something, if you watch 100 fights, you will see very, very few kicks. I'm talking about real fights that happen, outside of any sporting context. You'll see very, very few kicks, because kicks are risky. And with the adrenaline dump of the fight, if you haven't trained yourself to kick under those conditions, it can be pretty challenging to land a kick and maintain your balance. And so that's where you got to train it if you're going to do the kicks. But that's where it's like karate. I talked before about establishing a framework and then getting into kind of the universal martial arts. And so karate, like, you can think of it like this, all right? So there's specific banned substances. I don't want to get my video flagged here. There are specific banned substances, one in particular, that's considered a gateway to other banned substances. This banned substance is seen as less damaging, but people worry that when you use this banned substance, you could potentially, the person's on the floor and they soccer kick them in the head. Exactly. Or you see it defensively. Somebody got knocked down and the person's coming to punch and they'll kick up at them. So they'll use their legs in a defensive way. That's something actually you do. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good use of the kick as well. But so you see one banned substance as maybe a gateway to other banned substances. You could think of the same thing for martial art. You start in one martial art and you stay with that martial art and you just go really deep in it. Or it can be a gateway to other things. For some people, those things might be, you might get really into culture. He was doing karate and he got into taiko, he's living there into that want to be mixed martial arts fighters, and so go to a mixed martial arts gym so you can go compete in MMA. Their way into that. Some people, it's a pathway in. Some people, it's a pathway into law. And so in law enforcement and military, all firearms and hand-to-hand techniques for arresting people in the case of police, sometimes in the military too. Sometimes in the military, it's hand-to-hand, just take a person out. Hopefully that actual video, once it posts, will be more smooth. Anyway, karate can be the dark many abilities considered to be no. Karate, many different things. It can just be something you enjoy by itself, but you can also learn karate to doing other things. So I do more kicks than our system. I'm kind of tapping into some of the universality, and I'm looking for what kicks are available and the standards we use and what work well within frame reference. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice kick. So we'll do Sokoto first. We're Nekowashi Dachi. We're fighting Nekowashi Dachi. Maybe we block the front kick. Maybe we block across here. Bring Nekowashi, tap it down here. Now we're in the position. We're lined up at that 45-degree angle. Perfect for Sokoto Geri. Oh. All right. And then if you've got the other foot in front, maybe blocked here. They throw a kick coming around here. Block here, tap it down. All right. Miyashimai, Nekowashi Dachi, block across, Sokoto Geri. Now do it off a kick. Let's say I throw this kick and I see them. They're still kind of close, but now I'm at that 45-degree angle because I missed. I'm going to throw Sokoto Geri again. Sokoto Geri. Right, Miyashimai. Whoosh. Turn all the way through because I already saw that my kick missed. So I come here, boom, Sokoto Geri. Hidari Yashimai, Geida Mawashi Geri, Sokoto Geri. Rigi Yashimai, Geida Sokoto Geri. Hidari Yashimai, Geida Mawashi Geri, Sokoto Geri. More deck. So I was really trying to kick and they moved. Oh, and I missed. Look how exposed I am. They can come right at me, but that's where I'm gonna drop my head back, boom, and throw Yoko Geri, side kick. So me, I really, but Yoko Geri. Hidari Yashimai, Geida Mawashi Geri, Yoko Geri, Yoko. Have to be go Joda Geri, and I so I try to kick high at the 40, Sokoto, go high. middle. So Midiyashimai, go high, middle, Sokoto Geri. Hidari high, and this is Neko Ashidachi, right? That's my cat foot stance, but it's transitional. You do not have arms. I don't either. You don't see my arms moving. Stop it. All right, so the Neko Ashidachi is transitional, not hanging out there. So watch that Neko Ashidachi. I'm using it as a point of reference because I know how to make that stance. So I'm touching down in Neko Ashidachi and then launching my attack, but it's very transitory. I'm not hanging out there. It's kind of not a stance, it's a transition. So I have Hidari Ashimai, and maybe I'm in Tsuigoshi here. And I go high, come down, Neko Ashidachi transition, Togeri. So Midiyashimai, I'm here, Jodan, touch down, Neko Ashi, Sokotogeri. Hidari Ashimai, Jodan, Jodan Moashigeri, Neko Ashidachi, Sokotogeri. I'm going to stop using my arms. All right, Hidari Ashimai, Jodan Moashigeri, tap down, Sokoto. Jodan Moashigeri, tap down, Sokoto. All right, try a few. In front, Jodan. Onto the front foot. Boom. Here. Oh. And then that exposes the stomach. So, Jodan Chudan is one way to do that. Chudan Moashigeri. I turn my back partly. Yoko Geri. All right, Hidari Ashimai. Chudan Moashigeri. Yoko Geri. Midiyashimai. Chudan Moashigeri. Yoko Geri. All right. Just for the sake of working on it, let's do these kick. It's an exercise to help your kicks. So get something you can use to help your balance. And like a wall. I'm gonna bring my leg kind of flat and level. Stretch out and back. Out and back. Out and back. So I do 10 of those. San, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju. And try the other side. Ichi, ni, san, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju. All right. All right, we're going to end pretty soon here. Any questions? So today we worked on stances. We worked on some kicks from those stances. And we talked about how stances are transitional and not necessarily places you live. And we worked on some leg exercises, which support your stances and your kicks. That's a good question.
find out. I don't know if you can see or not. I think you can only see my, oh yeah, you can see. See, you can see the tree. Yep, we're not completely buried in here. There is, you can see the snow outside. All right, yeah, field trip. I hope you guys appreciated that today. I had the mats separated, and I had my recording device set up on another segment of mats to hopefully minimize los terremotos. But anyway, you have a great rest of your day. Train hard, but also be careful, rest when needed. Today, my training was, I wasn't using my arms much. You didn't see me doing punches or strikes or pulling. I didn't do push-ups. I didn't do anything of that. So I'm letting my elbows rest. So when you need to rest, make sure you're resting correctly. See you later.